Hi, good. Hello. Wherever you are, we are going into the One Great Studio Company limited basis of allotment. So we are gonna be looking at, so it was just released earlier this evening. So this is September 4th, of course. So the basis of allotment, we're gonna talk about the offer just briefly for those who would have missed it, and then just go through the basis of allotment, right? So let's look at the offer briefly here. We did this prospectus review last week on our channel. So they're seeking to raise a total of 338 million, a total of 169 million from the public. The opening date was August 28th. I believe it closed August 29th. Let me double check here. Yes, it closed August 29th. And so, of course, the basis of allotment is due within 6 days. And of course, that's what we have here, right? So they're able to meet that deadline. So let's go through it here, right? So how the basis of allotment works. Let me actually break this out, right? Because we are... Stop sharing for a second and then do that. All right. Hoping I didn't share anything that I should not have shared right there. All right, cool. All right, there we go. Great. All right, so it says here, One Great Studio Company has advised that its invitation was closed 1 p.m. on August 29th. We mentioned that before. The company is determined that the new ordinary shares invitation being oversubscribed, of course, should be allocated as follows. So there are 1 GST members, meaning staff, employees, etc. Have gotten 100% of what they applied for. That's standard. Key strategic partners, those persons would have gotten 100% of what they applied for. General public, again, that's where we would be interested to see. This pool was oversubscribed, and applicants will be allotted the first 20,000 new ordinary shares applied for, and approximately 34% of the balance of the amount applied for. So applicants who applied for 20,000 shares or less will receive their full allotment, right? Very simple, very easy to understand. Essentially how it works, if you applied for 20,000 or less, you're going to get everything that you applied for. If you applied for more, let's say you applied for 30,000, you're going to get the first 20,000 and then 34.08% of $10,000, right? So that's how it works. We actually have an Excel sheet in our Telegram group that we help you calculate the basis of allotment, right? So if you join our Telegram group, we send you that Excel sheet. Regardless of the amount you applied for, you plug in the values and it tells you how much you're going to get. All right, so applications were only accepted in, so for applicants whose applications were only accepted in part will be refunded the balance of their subscription. So if for whatever reason your application wasn't accepted in full, and then it says now they will proceed to apply for listing its ordinary shares on the junior market, and they wish to thank all their applicants for their support, confidence, and making the first IPO of the year a success, right? So let's hear your thoughts on this, right? Again, I want to know what's your take on this. Let me know in the comments below. Are you happy with the number of shares? How are you feeling, right? So we got through we did the prospectus review, the CEO interview, live Q&A, all videos that you should check out if you haven't done so already. And now it's really just about anticipation of how the company will be. I'm not going to get into whether or not I think the company will halt up or anything like that. To me, that's not a measurement of success for a company. Interesting, Omar. I did not know that. So Omar is saying when Fontana entered, it was the first 25,000. Okay, cool, because I didn't have a point of reference. I wasn't tracking the market as closely I remember, I think companies like Dollar, etc., was like 10,000 shares. So I don't know how persons would have felt about 20,000. Of course, persons typically are mindful of how many shares they receive. In this case, you're getting more shares, so that would definitely be a plus for all who applied. And the thing that I note here, now the company had an option to leave it open for longer. They chose to close it so that those who applied got more shares, right? So to me, that's actually a good thing. So Craig is saying usually you get less than the IPO minimum. So the minimum was 10,000. The minimum was 10,000, right? So a couple of things here, right, Craig? It's the first IPO for the year. It was summer. So that's also a factor here. So to me, so remember they lifted open literally for 1 day and a half, right? So to me, if they had left it, done some more marketing, done some more interviews, etc., left it open for 1 week, probably that 20,000 now would be 10,000, and then those who applied would be complaining, right? So the minimum was 10K, right? So yeah, so I think that's it. Pretty straightforward from here. So the next thing to look for is refunds for those who would have applied. So you have refunds to look out for if you would have applied. And then of course, from there, it's listing. So listing of shares within 21 days of closing. Closing was last week. So we've gone essentially 1 week. So within the next 2 weeks when they're expected to list, so sometime within September. All right, so if you're not sure how much they're raising, why they're raising it, etc., watch the prospectus review. If you want to hear from the CEO of the company, watch the CEO series interview. If you have questions that you need answered, watch the live Q&A, right? Craig, I think what you're alluding to is actually a practice that I think we maybe need to manage, right? And manage expectations, right? Because I think the prospects for the company is interesting. I think based on what they've shared in terms of, the projections for the year, because to me, right? You want to just be sure if it's a company, you're holding mid to long term, whether and how it does in the first week is not relevant to you. If you're, of course, looking to trade short term, to me, you're more concerned with that, right? So pushing the price in the first week, to me, is not a sign of the long-term success of the company, right? Look at the company that first comes to mind is Fesco, right? Fesco, first few weeks, months, it actually went a little bit over $1, went back down to almost IPO price. 1 year later, it was 800% higher than IPO price, right? So, I mean, Craig, I don't know if that matters as much in my opinion, right? So I was waiting for Shelly, and because she asked a question on another live stream that we're doing the APO prospectus review for 138SL. She had a question. I wanted her to be here to answer it. I'm not seeing her. So Shelly Ann, if you're watching this, just find me in the Telegram group and we can always discuss it further. Oh, okay, great. All right, so the question that you had actually, and I'll ask you to post it again so I can address it. All right, so the question actually and asked essentially was whether or not how I felt about the government bailing out SSL, right? I think that was your specific question. So Shellyan, I'll say it is not a bailout from my understanding. What Nigel explained, he actually did at Twitter Spaces last week. I was able to listen to it. And what he was saying is that based on how the investigation has been going, they need to essentially have employees on staff to ensure that they're able to continue to make momentum in the investigation. And these employees are critical to them uncovering what they need to for the investigation. So it's pretty much saying, in short, they need those employees there. They need to continue paying them. or the investigation may start to stall, right? So that's what he was saying. So he's saying it's not a bailout. He's saying he said the original SSL shareholders will not be made whole. And so that's what a bailout would constitute. So it's not to be considered as a bailout, but instead them doing what is necessary to ensure that they're able to get the Jamaican people answers, right? I'd say probably my only concern about this are, well, the questions that I want answered is one, ensuring that, I want to be sure that this kind of thing never happens again in the same way, meaning multiple red flags that were missed. The scale to which it happened means that, of course, multiple persons, multiple months, multiple years, and of course, ensuring that the right systems are in place. To me, it requires more automation and also more double checking, meaning a faster response from those who are in the role of governing the system, because most certainly an impact in terms of persons are looking at this outside of Jamaica and looking to see how this is addressed, right? So that's what I'd say to that, right? So yes, Shelley, so he's saying that also that they're expecting to be able to make additional arrests this year. Let me see if I can bring up the Twitter thread that he mentioned. And I'm saying Twitter, I don't think I'm ever going to use the letter to describe it. So to me, it's okay, right? So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to talk about what he mentioned. So I'm just going to read the thread. Again, the spaces was held by Simon Johnson last week. Well, moderated rather. So it says SSL's income can no longer support its expenses. As such, the GOJ to SSL to meet a salary bill, inclusive of rent, utilities, legal fees, is important to facilitate a thorough investigation into the alleged fraudulent activities. A complete and thorough investigation is in the public interest. This is not a bailout of SSL shareholders. SSL shares are of zero value, and owners who held these shares have lost their entire investment. So he's talking the owners, not SSL clients here, right? The Jamaican people want a thorough investigation into this alleged fraud, and that allegedly covers a decade or more. We need the employees to remain in place for a bit longer to facilitate this. I have been informed by the temporary manager that there are 22 employees, down from 33, and the monthly salary bill is 9.5 million, and monthly non-salary operating expenses are 5 million. So that's where the 14.5 comes from. And he'll provide a more fulsome update on the cost of GOJ's support to SSL at a later date. All right, so hopefully that answers. Let me zoom in a little bit more. So sorry, guys. So it says, however, he said in a radio interview, which had not been featured in any of the reports that followed, the policy position is that the support of the GOJ will be conditioned on the FSC and the temporary manager using all legal means available to pursue the monetization of whatever assets are left on SSL's balance sheet. I don't believe we heard an amount of what that may be. It cannot be simply that these account receivables are deemed irrecoverable. That indeed may be the case, right? So hopefully that addresses it. Exactly, Craig. So it really depends on, so one, you have to look out for the additional arrests that they mention, and yeah, we'll see what happens. So I am interested to see how timely this investigation will be. I know to us it may be like, it's 9 months, you haven't gotten anywhere yet. What's happening? we'll see, right? Can the government charge JSC and others for not addressing the red flags? Shelley, this is an interesting question, right? Because I am interested to see now. I don't know. What I would like to see is accountability in the system. I'd like to see it come. So, for example, if you remember when there was the capital adequacy concerns earlier this year, the JSE came out. There was one broker, I believe, who was listed as somewhat of a concern, and they came out and said there's no concern. They're working with the broker to get them back in good standing order. It's not another SSL situation, XYZ, right? So, I mean, in terms of charging them, I don't know if we have the framework to charge or fine them for this. Chavi is saying that they think that the FSC and JSC should be paying for this mess. No, there's actually, what I heard was there was some form of fee or fund that the brokers have to pay. I don't remember. I'm going to ask a friend of mine about it to see how that fund is used, right? Sort of what the owners, they never had any. Well, so I don't know what the opportunity is there to. I suspect that if the owners are charged at some point, I don't remember if they've been charged as yet. If they are charged, I don't know what would happen to their assets, right? I really don't know, guys. I think I will try. I honestly can't tell you the luck that I would have. I don't want to use the word luck. The opportunity that I would have to interview Dr. Clark, I can ask. But I don't know if my network is as strong as some persons may be, and I don't know if you would be interested in doing an interview on Learn, Grow, Invest. But I have a ton of questions, right? So if we can arrange something, I'll set that up, send it out in our mailing list, and have everybody have an opportunity to come in. What does the Proceeds of Crime Act say here, Tabby? Anything specifically that you can point us to that can help us? Because that's the part that I'm concerned about. All right. Yeah. So this is a problem whenever anything goes awry. So, I mean, Orville, honestly, there is, let's see, right? I'm giving the opportunity, I think, to see how it is handled. I think the fact that there's only been one arrest in 9 months, it is concerning. On the spaces, I believe Dr. Clark said he's anticipating another arrest sounded like multiple by the end of the year. But to me, I think the critical, so two sides, right? The critical nature of it could be why they're going things over with a fine-tooth comb, ensuring that everything is in place, reporting on it thoroughly, etc., etc. I just know that, as I said, a lot of people are looking at this and reporting about this still, right? So it's not something that in this age of social media, of news spreading very quickly, I believe the longer this takes, because remember, this is also an impact on how persons are viewing the government and their ability to address this, right? So that's definitely can't be discounted as well. I'm sure they're mindful of that. So we'll just see. All right. In terms of no transparency or accountability united, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I believe, though, the real opportunity missed here, which my only desire in these situations is for people to be accountable, right? I wish, and I don't think you're ever really going to hear this. I'd love to hear, we dropped the ball here. This was our responsibility. We should have done X, Y, Z. And this is a clear penalty for us not doing X, Y, Z, right? That's the kind of market, that's the kind of environment I'd love to see us aspire to, where the laws are clear, they're there to protect us as investors. And secondly, that there is recourse for investors, there is enforcement by those who are in charge, who we are trusting. Because when we invest, we're putting our trust in the system that has been created. So the investments themselves are already risky. We don't want to have a risk in the framework or the system that we're supposed to be investing through, right? I think I'd say it that way. So Orville, we'll see. Again, I think there is a certain amount of trust in Dr. Clark, I would say, and his, I mean, you can't ever know if somebody's being transparent, but I would say at least I commend his willingness to speak on it and speak consistently. I definitely give him, kudos for that. On the spaces, it was somebody recommended, I think from Simon's group, that there should be a website or a central place where things can be tracked and updates be given. My only concern when I heard that recommendation is the cost for that website, right? Because in my mind, if you spend, let's say they spend 5 million, 10 million on that website to update the public, I wouldn't want to know that that money is spent, and then down the road there is somebody in terms of an SSL client that can't be made whole because there's not enough resources to pay them, right? That's kind of my mindset. So to me, I would be minimizing resources to be able to make the clients whole. That would be my perspective anyway. I don't think Bolt has put out a statement since the time he first came out and spoke about it. If you follow Bolt on social media, it's been business as usual for him since. I don't think I've heard him say anything since. I don't believe he's done an interview about it as yet. I mean, Orville, the system has been failing us. I wouldn't know if I'd say it that way, but there are definitely opportunities. Shalian said, trusting Clark. No, I mean, it's, let's see what the investigation brings, and we take it from there. All right, guys, this is going to be a short video. This was just for the basis of allotment. So hopefully you, if you're just joining us, I just wanted to kind of take that question. So I'm actually going to split the videos for the last 15 minutes, us talking about the SSL saga. I'm going to put that up as another video, leave the basis of allotment video being short, and then we'll be able to kind of separate the two so that persons don't think it took us 24 minutes to discuss the basis of allotment, right? All right, guys, so I'll see you hopefully sometime this week with the CEO series interview with Mr. Yuan from 138SL. Be sure to subscribe to our mailing list, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to our investor relations channel, and definitely I want to see you, or hope to see you, in the very next video.
Learning is the key to successful investing, and who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com
and follow us on all social media